Hi Apple lovers and welcome to the Tech Hub, and today's episode is an Apple retro series where I review old Apple tech to see if it still functions and find uses for it today. This episode looks at the iPhone 3GS, which was released in 2009. Is it still usable in 2024? Let's find out. Let's start the episode. So let's talk about the history of the iPhone 3GS, but my own personal history first. The reason I've gone for this one and the reason it appealed to me was this was my first ever iPhone. I remember just before the iPhone was announced, a tech guy that I knew, wasn't that into tech at that point, showed me his iPod Touch and said, oh yeah, there's rumored to be a phone version of this. A couple years later, I got my first ever iPhone. So let's rewind the clock to 2009 to talk about a device that changed the smartphone landscape forever, the iPhone 3GS. It was the third iPhone in Apple's lineup and packed just enough innovation to cement Apple's dominance in the smartphone world. But how did it happen? Let's dive in. To understand the iPhone 3GS, we first need a little backstory. In 2007, Apple launched the original iPhone, an absolute revelation. Then came the iPhone 3G in 2008, which introduced the App Store and 3G connectivity. But by the end of 2009, competition was heating up, and Apple needed a way to stay ahead. Enter the iPhone 3GS. The iPhone 3GS was announced at WWDC 2009. May have looked almost identical to the iPhone 3G, but under the hood, it was a different beast. The S in 3GS stood for speed, and it wasn't just a marketing buzzword. This was the fastest iPhone yet. So what made the iPhone 3GS so special? Let's break it down. The processor, it featured a 600 MHz ARM Cortex-A8 chip, nearly twice as fast as the iPhone 3G. Apps loaded quicker, and gaming performance was smoother than ever. As for the storage, Apple doubled the storage options, offering up to 32 gigabytes, which was a big deal back then. The device that I will be testing is only 16 gigabytes though. As for the camera, this was upgraded to 3 megapixels with video recording capabilities for the first time. Yes, before this, iPhones couldn't even record natively. They also introduced voice control. A precursor to Siri, voice control let you make calls, play music and more using just your voice. And as for the battery life, it had slightly improved battery, delivering up to 12 hours of talk time on 2G. Critics and users loved the 3GS for its speed and features. Apple sold over 1 million units during its launch weekend. While some criticized the lack of design changes, most agreed that the internal upgrades more than made up for this. By the end of its life cycle, the 3GS became one of Apple's longest supported iPhones ever, receiving software updates for over 4 years. The iPhone 3GS proved that incremental updates could be game changers if done right. It bridged the gap between the early iPhones and the iconic iPhone 4, showing that performance and functionality mattered just as much as revolutionary design. So that's the story of the iPhone 3GS, a device that redefined what smartphones could do in 2009. So onto the specification, let's dive into the nitty-gritty of the iPhone 3GS, the third generation iPhone that brought some serious hardware and software upgrades. Let's break it down. Let's start with the design and the display. So the body, the iPhone 3GS retained the rounded plastic back of the iPhone 3G. It was sleek, comfortable to hold and available in black or white. It weighed 135 grams, slightly heavier than its predecessor, but still pocket friendly. It featured a 3.5-inch LCD display with a resolution of 320 by 480 pixels, giving it a pixel density of 165 ppi. Though it wasn't Retina yet, it was crisp for its time. For the first time, Apple added a coating to reduce fingerprint smudges, a small touch, but it made a big difference. Now let's talk about what's under the hood. The processor, the iPhone 3GS, was powered by the 600 MHz Cortex A8, a significant leap from the 512 MHz chip on the 3G. It made everything from opening apps to gaming much smoother. As for the graphics, it came with a PowerVR SGX 535 GPU enabling richer 3D graphics and supporting OpenGL ES 2.0. Apple doubled the RAM to 256 megabytes, which improved multitasking and overall responsiveness. It offered 3 options for the storage: 8 gigabytes, 16 gigabytes, and 32 gigabytes. For 2009, that was impressive. It's funny to see 8 gigabytes because I believe that's what iOS takes up now. So that's quite interesting. The camera on the iPhone 3GS was a big step forward. The resolution, it had 3 megapixel rear camera, up from 2 megapixel on the iPhone 3G. Video recording, for the first time the iPhone could record videos natively at 480p at 30 frames per second. It introduced autofocus and tap to focus features that were cutting edge for smartphones at the time. And let's not forget voice control, which let you make calls or play music hands-free, a hint of Siri to come. In terms of connectivity, the iPhone 3GS had everything you'd expect in 2009. 3G and Wi-Fi, it supported faster 7.2 megabytes per second speeds over 3G plus Wi-Fi 802.11bg. It featured Bluetooth 2.1, which enabled wireless accessories like headsets. As for the battery, the 3GS came with a 1219 battery, delivering up to 12 hours of talk time on 2G or 5 hours on 3G. And thanks to iOS optimizations, standby times were excellent for its size. Now, talking about iOS, the 3GS launched with iPhone OS 3, later named iOS, which introduced cut, copy and paste, MMS, and Spotlight search. Over its life cycle, the 3GS received updates all the way to iOS 6, making it one of the longest supported iPhones in history. Be interesting to see what iOS is on my test unit today and to see if we can update it at all. I really hope it's early on. So it's finally time to unbox this bad boy. I mean, look at the box. It's so thick. I doubt they could claim carbon neutral based on this. So here we go. Oh, and it's still got the film on as well. Now, before I enjoy the film, okay, look, the phone was right at the top. Here we go. Let's see what's in the box. Okay, that's handy. USB-A to their, I want to say 30 pin, but it's pretty much the same as iPods. So that's really handy. I did have a spare one. No plug. Let's see what's in this card. Stickers. Yay! Excellent. And instructions. Still won't read the instructions. No. Oh, there's even the SIM card ejector tool. Look. I've only got micro SIM card, so unless that will fit. But we'll give it a go when we test it. Now for the reveal. Ah, I can't believe they kept the plastic. That's so cool. So let's see if it turns on. Are you ready? I still think they should have done like a sound effect when you turn on an OS device. Oh my God, look at that retro Apple logo. Oh my God. I mean, look at the design. It feels really thick. It's obviously a lot smaller. I would say it's even smaller than the last iPhone 12 and 13 minis. But it certainly is thicker. Look at the thickness. Condition of this unit isn't really that bad. I mean, I'm expecting scratches. I mean, this thing is 15 years old. So yes, there are scratches, but nothing major on the screen. There it is, look. Let me turn, I want to make sure the volume's up so that when I unlock it, it clicks. Am I going to get the click? Let me. Oh, hopefully you heard that. So let's start the setup process. So setting it as British English. Let's see how long this takes. Here we go. United Kingdom. It's picked up my Wi-Fi. Let me pop the password in. Oh, I love that click. It reminds me of when I've done the iPad first generation and the iPad mini first generation. It's just like that. Okay, we are on Wi-Fi. Activating your iPhone. This will be interesting. Hopefully there's no snags here. We'll do a Wi-Fi test as well if we can get in. It's turned off. Ah! Why is it turned off? It was gonna activate. Right, let me plug it into a charger and see what's going on. Okay, so it turns out that the battery died. I've plugged it into my TS4 now. I can't bring it as close as I'd probably like to. But I'm back on the setup screen. So let's have a look. Now, I think the battery's pretty much dead and I'm going to have it constantly plugged in, which isn't a problem at all. And I'm not surprised considering it's 15 years old. Hopefully we won't get interrupted again. So it did save all of my info. I'm setting up the phone now. So let me set it up as a new phone. Let me try and log in to my Apple ID. There was a problem connecting to the server. Wow, I can skip this step though. That's interesting because I know you can skip signing in on a Mac, but yeah, you can't skip on today's generation of iPhones and iPads. So that's really interesting. Terms and conditions, diagnostics and usage. Yeah, let me send it to them if they still want this information. Okay, we are in. Look at that. And just like I said before, testing the original iPad and the iPad mini, it's the same thing in a smaller screen. So let's have a look at what iOS this is running. It's probably the latest. It is on iOS 6. That's a shame. I really wanted to see iOS 3. And it looks like this is locked to EE. So even if my SIM card would fit, I'm not on EE, so I've got no way of testing it. But it is locked to EE, so that's really interesting. Okay, fantastic. It's actually plugged into my Mac now for the power. So let's see what it says on the Mac. Okay, so it's already plugged into the Mac for the charging. So let's have a look. Here we are, it's showing up in Finder. Let's see what's going on. When I checked the about to see what version it was, I think it said 6. Here we go. It's on iOS 6.1.6. So it's backing it up. Fantastic. There's not much to back up. So that didn't take long at all. Let's check for backup. The version of the iPhone software 6.1.6 is the current version. Well, that's absolutely fine. As I'm here, just like I've done before, let me sync some music. And I'm not surprised. I had the same thing. I could do this on older iPod Touches, on the original iPad, the iPad mini. You can still use it as if you've got your own music. You're not going to get Apple Music on this. As long as you've got the files and a music library, you can sync that. So I've just done that. So an interesting tidbit, I was just trying to get a video to sync to it so I could test it. And I use a application I've had for years called Any Video Converter HD. It does the job when I need stuff converting. And actually one of the options here is iPhone 3G and 3GS. So I'm going to convert my TechHub logo to see if I can get that on there. I just thought that was really interesting during the testing. So let's have a look. Let me add. So I've got it. With this, you got to add your file to Apple TV app, and then it shows up to be able to sync. Let's have a look if that works. It's uber small now. It was 22 megabytes. It's now 401 kilobytes, and it's synced. So we'll test that in a second. I won't bother with TV shows. Photos. Okay, let me see what I can do with photos. Let me do our last holiday. I think what it's going to do is download the photos because I use Optimize, so it just downloads the photos as I want them. So I think it's just downloading the photos, so we'll see how that gets on with it. Okay, it has downloaded those photos now, so there's photos on it too. So good. So as far as testing so far, we've got all of that synced. Synced? Is that the right terminology? So let's see what the effect of that sync does. Okay, so those files have synced now. So let's have a look what effect it has on the phone. So I did some photos. Let's have a look. Here we go. Here's our last holiday. Let me bring up my good friend, David. There you go, buddy. There you are. So yeah, photos, absolutely fine. The screen isn't the best, and these are really high quality photos from my DSLR. It's tiny small, but it is what it is. So photos worked. Tick. Let's have a look at music. I transferred some of my own files, like I said. You have to. Here we go. Okay, this one has a long intro. Let me skip it. Can I skip it? How do you... Here we go, now playing. How do I skip forward? I feel like I'm learning to use a... That it must be possible to skip your... That's crazy. I can't work out how to skip forward in the track. Let me hold fast forward. Oh my god. There was no scrubbing. Oh my god. It sounds terrible, but hey, if you've got your own music files, it works. I can't believe there was no scrubbing. You have to literally hold fast forward. That's hilarious. Let's go into videos. So I did transfer a video file. The file specifically for 3GS as well. Let's have a look. There's no music. There we go. I'm so happy. Look at my little Tech Hub logo on the go. Yay. Well, I assume it's playing. Obviously, it's... There we go. There's the animation. It worked. Fantastic. So just like the vintage iPods, iPads that I've tested, you can still sync files to it. So that was great. I can't test cellular. Let me see if I can sign in again. I managed to sign in before on older devices. This one just wasn't having it. Let me have a look. Cannot connect to the iTunes store. Okay, so I thought it was because the Wi-Fi's off. It will not let me sign in to iTunes or the App Store. Now I've come across this before as well, so I'm even if I can sign in, I'm 99% sure the App Store's not going to work. I had it on the original iPad and iPad Mini 1. You can't get any apps to download. Let's see what else could. Oh, we go. The camera. There is no front-facing camera. So it's all on this one. So let me take a picture of myself, and then when I do the edit of this video, I'll put it there. Oh my god, how do you take a selfie without... Here we go. I'll pop it up here. Let's have a look what it looks like. It's terrible. Let's do a video as well. Oh my god, how am I going to record myself? Let me hit record and then spin it. So, what's the video quality like? This was the first iPhone with video, and let's see what the sound check, mic check. That was fun. I have to try and get that file off it. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that yet. Let me see what I can do. Passbook, of course. Passbook was wallet before it became wallet. Maps. Let's see if it's accurate. Okay, maps. I'm not going to sit here and wait. But maps isn't really loading any data at all. Cannot determine location. So maps is broken. Weather. It's got Yahoo symbol at the bottom. That's where it's getting its weather data from. Local weather. Let's see. Perhaps I can't find my location. It's not coming up with any map data, weather data, not even in a generic city. So London is not working. Let's have a look at notes. Notes works, so it's not going to work with my iCloud notes. So notes is there, reminders is there. You're not going to be able to sync for shit though. Newsstand. Again, because the App Store is not going to work, Newsstand isn't going to work. So that is before. Newsstand was great. So specific apps could go into Newsstand, like magazines and such like that. I'm not even going to test iTunes and App Store. I'm fairly certain they're not going to work anyway. Stocks. Shall we check the stocks? Let's see what the FTSE 100 is doing. And again, it's Yahoo, so they must have, had all their data coming from Yahoo for this. That's hilarious. Network unavailable. They have turned it off. Don't need Yahoo anymore. Is Yahoo still about? That's hilarious. I've got some utilities here. So contacts is still there. Calculator. Fantastic. Compass. I'd like to think the compass is working. Move away from interference or recollaborate by waving your phone in a figure of 8 motion. Figure of 8. Is it? Am I not doing an 8 good enough? Okay. Yeah, that looks busted too. And voice memos. Let's see. See if we can get a voice. Mic check. 1, 2. Ooh. We got. Can we play it back? Here we go. Mic check. 1, 2. Very cool. So I think we're going to stop the testing there. So let me try and pull that photo off and that video, and then I will summarize. Okay, so that was a lot of fun and very nostalgic. Uses in 2024. Suppose like one of the old-fashioned iPod Touches, music files. Yeah, just music files. Okay, so I did manage to pull that video off and that photo using iMazing software. I did initially try it through Finder, couldn't find a way, so thank you iMazing for that. So is this device worth it in 2024 and what's the uses? Is it usable in 2024? No, but a hell of a lot of fun. So if you're a collector or you're very nostalgic, it's a fun experience. It cost me £20 on eBay. It was good to make a video. So thank you very much for watching this video. Did you have an iPhone 3GS? What was your first iPhone? What do you recollect, and was this quite nostalgic for you? Anyway, let me know in the comments below, and as always, please be kind. Please like this video and subscribe to me. You can follow me on Instagram and Threads at TechHubWorldsUK, and I'll see you on the next one.